Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I super appreciate it. So last week was Thanksgiving week in the US, and when we visited the ghost of Thanksgiving past in last week's video, you saw that most of those weeks are sort of snoozy, floaty, upwards weeks, not a lot of activity, wah wah. However, this past week was different. So what does it mean? I got some ideas. And what are we going to do? I got a plan. So I'll talk about that when we get to the indices charts. But first, I want to talk about my high confidence trade from last week, which was buying the effing dip in gold miners, which I did. However, a little bit lower than I had first intended. I could tell on Monday morning by the speed at which things were going down that it wasn't just going to kind of turn around and go straight up as of 9:30 on Monday morning. So I did alert via Twitter in real time that I was sort of changing that up a little bit, and I told you where I'd be buying, and I kind of put a little blue highlighter there. So we'll look at that. I remain very high confident in the GDX trade, at least going into the end of the year. So if we dip further this week, I will probably scalp and buy more and then trade around that core position that I now have. So we'll talk about that when we get to the GDX chart. And before I jump into charts really quickly, I do get asked a lot how I learned how to read charts and how I learned how to do my own style of charting. And I will tell you, so initially when I first started trading, I had a TradingView Pro subscription that I used. And one of the things that I really liked about it is they allow you to sort of take somebody else's chart, if they allow you to, if that person says, okay, I think, I'm not even sure, but you take that other person's chart, you can make a copy of it, and then you can see over time for yourself how those lines or that chart performed. So first of all, you start to know how good the individual people are. But secondly, you can take their charts and make them better. And I'm not the kind of person, I don't read directions on things before I try and figure them out. I've never read a trading book. I just sort of try and reverse engineer stuff. And then if that doesn't work, then I might try a book. Then I might ask somebody. And so because I want to know sort of how, from my brain's perspective, how I'm right and how I'm wrong before I figure out what the real right thing is. So anyway, I am getting a kickback from TradingView for this, so take this with a grain of salt, but I do really like their stuff. However, I will say, I also, as a new trader, because TradingView has so many cool things, I got a little overwhelmed. So basically what I eventually did was I took all of those indicators and I sort of whittled them all down until I was happy with what I think is the minimum number of indicators. But I am, however, familiar with a lot of different indicators. So take that for what you will, but their sale is going on, I believe, through Cyber Monday. There's a link in the description if you want to try it out. It is their only sale of the year that I'm aware of. So anyway, with that said, let's talk charts. You ready? All right. Okay, so let's start off by looking at, oops, I'm on the wrong chart. Let's start off by looking at ES weekly futures. So I had talked about us revisiting this pink line either on, I said either on this, Thanksgiving week or the week after. So we're almost there, and pretty much mostly due to Friday's price action. The pink line, which I've sort of given a lot of weight to in the past, is 4575.25. So, and if you look at this, even though Friday seemed very scary, just from a weekly perspective, we haven't even back tested the 9 MA yet, or the 20 MA, or the 50 MA. So this is still super bullish looking. Just because Friday looked bearish does not mean that we've seen the end of all times. However, remember a while back, we got our first big red candle that didn't get bought, right? Like usually these red candles, they would have a really big wick at the end, or if they didn't, the next week would be super green, right? Each time this happened, each time we got this thing, we got the next week super green. So this was the first time that hadn't happened since pretty much the bottom of the pandemic. And then we got our first red Thanksgiving week pretty much since 2008. So what I'm seeing here is a slowing of the momentum. Is it the top? Don't know. Don't think so. Might be, but we are seeing a definitive slow of momentum here, at least technically speaking. At least I see that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I see. And I still do have a target of 4909, but these are the individual values that I'm watching from a weekly perspective. And my thinking behind this week is if it starts off just rip roaring on Monday, then I'll be looking to potentially buy puts if we get to this level for sure. But even if like Monday ends like super green, everybody's like, I told you so, then I will buy puts. If, however, we dip on Monday and get anywhere into this level, I will potentially buy the effing dip and then buy puts once we get higher up. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just sort of looking to play the momentum. I do believe this dip will get bought, but it might get dippier before it gets bought. And my friend El Guapo Bear sent me a list of some of the previous high volatility days. So if I look at the daily chart here we go. So we're still very much within the channel, the bottom of the daily channel. If we were to reach it on Sunday night / Monday is 4539.75. And this was the last day where we had a similar volatility level also in 2021. And then you can see what happened the next day, right? We sort of got bought a little bit and then not bought and then bought. And then we still got to new highs, right? But I would expect something similar to happen here for the next day. I think if we dip, we're going to get bought, but then potentially maybe just scare a few more people before we start to go back up. So that I'm thinking we're going to see something similar to that, but I'll keep you alerted in real time on Twitter. Let's look at NASDAQ weekly. Okay, so NASDAQ also seemed very scary, but then if you just zoom out, look at this weekly big picture, really all we've done is bounced off the top of this channel after dancing on it just for a little bit. Even if we come we're not even anywhere near the 9 MA or the 20 MA or the 50 MA, still a lot of room for NASDAQ to actually backtest and look very healthy, still very bullish. NASDAQ is not technically bearish until it's below this channel line. If it falls from this channel line, it will be pretty bearish looking, at least short term to me, at least for the height of this channel from wherever it falls out of, if it falls out of. However, I still have a target of 17,803.75. Okay, let's look at small caps. So small caps, actually, even though they looked poopy as well, and this isn't actually, I think this didn't account for the last hour for whatever reason. The weekly charts aren't including the last hour, but it looks like, at least up until the last hour, we back tested this channel breakout and then ended exactly where we need to end for the robots to sort of defend that. So we'll see. So the values I'm watching next week are it really needs to close above 2201.9. You can see it bounce right off of that this past week. And then if it does start to tumble here, I'm going to look to try and pick it up around this 2018 area. But if it starts to sort of squeeze or go upwards, I'm going to watch this 2253 area. And we're going to really find out what's what if we get all the way back to this rocket line. So far, we've gotten the breakout, we've back tested, and then who knows? Potentially we might go up again, right? It's possible. So we have to keep our minds open. But this weekly chart does look a little bit better than it would have if it didn't, because it doesn't include the last hour. Okay, let's look at Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin, remember we talked about this hokey pokey flag. It went out, went back in, kind of rode here a little bit. And then, I mean, this actually looks super similar to that. It's just a larger version of it, right? This here looks like this here, okay? So it looks like if we, and we chopped this week just like we thought would happen this past week. So, and, you know, chopping, it did go down, of course, substantially when the market did, but so far it looks like it's just sort of doing the same thing. So I would expect a little bit of a bounce this week and maybe some more consolidation if we're going to continue following this. But generally speaking, usually around this many turns of something that looks so similar, it does start to diverge. So, you know, you can't expect this whole thing, well, maybe to continue. So if we go up, we might stay up. But anyway, I do expect a bounce this week for Bitcoin and the cryptos. Okay, let's look at ETH, Ethereum. Okay, we still have not closed below this key area for Ethereum. You could say that potentially this is starting to look like a head and shoulders shape, right? So that's what we need to watch. We need to really make sure that Ethereum stays above 39.69, which is our key. And as long as we close above 39.69, still looks very healthy. We have immediate resistance here at 4266.57 on Sunday/Monday. And then we have sort of another area of support before it's going to start to look a little bit bearish, right? But it just really needs to hold this key line. And then if it can get above here, we've got all the way to 5,000 area that we can explore. So we'll have to watch that. Now, Doge has been a little bit disappointing for me. I am still hanging in there. I am high confidence, but I'm not high confidence from a technical perspective. I'm high confidence because I can't tell you exactly, but I'll tell you later whether I'm right or wrong, but I'm still high confidence. I'm not high confidence, technically speaking, only because, well, first of all, just like zoom out, kind of squint your eyes. It's just consolidation, okay? And you can't, I typically don't like to be in trades when they're in a consolidation. So you can't really say it's bearish per se. However, it's not done anything for quite a while, and it's below the MAs. Okay, excuse me, let me zoom out. So you can see all three of the MAs are starting to point down. We're below that in terms of price action. So if you wanted to wait, if you wanted to be more certain, it'll definitely look great above this kind of crossover where the pink line starts to cross over the orange lines. That's going to be a breakout if it gets there. And potentially, though, it could go all the way down to this 13 area. It could. It's possible. I hope it doesn't. But I'm just going to hang in there. I had taken some of my profits from my Tesla trade and put that into this. So I'm good. I'm just hodling. I believe in Elon. Let's talk about gold miners. Okay. So here is where I highlighted last week, this blue area of where I was going to buy. And really all we did was back test this channel that we broke out of, right? Okay. We closed a pretty good area-ish. And so this week it could certainly come down here again and test this key, which is 31.27. If it does, I'm going to buy more and try to scalp it. And 31.51 would be a back test of this channel, which is close to this 31.27. This is the redemption, 30.85. If it starts to look like it's going to close the week under here, I'm probably going to abort. But I still have very high confidence in it as of now. I just want it to show a little bit of strength this week. And I thought, guys, on Monday morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I had a huge position of UBXC that I sold some of, not gonna lie, on Wednesday and or no, I think it's Tuesday. And I was all excited because my UBXC was up, my GDX was up. I was like, oh my gosh, this might be the day. This might be the day. But of course, gold and GDX kind of pooped the entire day on see how it started so up. I was very excited, but it pooped the entire day on Friday. So anyway, we'll have to see what happens here. We did have a nice little uptick in the last hour, but we'll have to see. I'm still going to buy the dip for now. Okay, let's look at gold futures. Okay, so this is the weekly over here. We did close below my key line, but you know, if you still kind of look at this, it looks like it's doing higher lows as of now, right? On the weekly, still looks okay to me. From 4-hour perspective, it's okay. It bounced off of this support here. It's fine. You know, it's okay. I would like to see more strength from gold when I mean, it was hard on Friday because the indices were there was such selling pressure that, of course, you know, I was like, wow, if gold does maintain this though, and then it didn't. But I just like to see more strength in gold this coming week. I of course want it above this 1835 area, but I'll be happy if it just stays above 1788.9 for a close. But really, the higher the better. Yeah, if it just 1825, then I'm going to feel much better about it longer term, but I still think it's simply consolidating, and this is still a higher low as of now. Let's look at silver. Okay, so silver came back and it got back into my sort of buy area, if you will. So I bought it. Hopefully it doesn't poop. I'm going to feel better about silver if it's above 23.565. That would be a breakout of this channel. And it's still looking like it's doing the thing. However, the neckline's a little wonky, but it's still looking like it's doing the thing as of now. So we just need to see a nice weekly close this week, and I'll maintain my confidence. Let's look at oil. I did try and buy the dip on oil on Friday because I thought, self, this was my plan. But just because of the way that indices were dropping, it just kept going with it. So if it gets below this past week's high, low, if it gets below this past week's low, then, and of course this MA that's sort of holding it up right now at it would be support at approximately 66.59. Is that right? Yeah, 66.59. Oh, the market just opened. Look at that. Ooh, okay. I was just going to say, well, we'll see what happens, but 65.65 is support below this weekly MA. But I was just going to say that this weekly candle for XOP held really well, really impressively, to be quite frank. I was not expecting that. I was like, looking at oil here, I was expecting some carnage in oil stocks, which we didn't get, which means that oil is very strong. Okay, let's look at Natty. Okay, Natty gapped up as well. Look at that. This is, by the way, is a huge ass bull flag. Yep. So a breakout this week of this bull flag will be 5.54. And the bottom of this channel, let me just label that as well, is 4.679. Yep. Okay. So I'll be watching that. And oh no, we gapped down. What am I talking about? It started here and gapped down. Oh, jeez. I'm like confused, but yeah, I was like, wait, am I? No. So it gapped down the week. So it's got to fill this gap. I would like it to fill this gap. It probably won't fill this gap because it's annoying. But anyway, the bigger picture is we are in a bull flag, and that's the breakout. And this was support. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm like crazy. Okay, let's talk about coffee. Coffee broke out of an upward channel last week. The support is now 64.72. I'm just hodling a core section of it. I was hoping that we would get down here so I could buy more of it, but that didn't happen. So we'll see if that happens this week. Back test of, so I'm looking to buy this gap area, and I'm looking to buy a back test if we get it, a 58.59. Don't know that we'll get it. Measured move still 77.07 for Joe. Okay, that's it. Oh my gosh. All right, make myself big. Thank you again so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great trading week, and I will see you on the interwebs. Okay, bye.